Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you're doing well. Can you tell what today's video is going to be about? That's right. With today's video, I want to help a little bit by explaining how the Ontario Building Code uses three specific words, and, or, except. These three words are very common words that are used very often when we normally speak. But did you know that they have a very specific meaning in the Ontario Building Code? That's right, they do. Please stick around. Hi everyone, my name is Francesco, and with this video, I want to explain how the Ontario Building Code uses the words and, or, and except. Before we dive into this, I want to give a shout out to Zia Reman, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly, because it's thanks to their comment, which was posted 2 years ago, that this is happening. It was a terrific suggestion, and I want to acknowledge your comment, so thank you. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. This video is for you. Let's start with and. Simply put, and means all when used in a list in the Ontario Building Code. Typically, in the Ontario Building Code, lists are found at the clause level, and they are used to validate the item one level up at the sentence level. The article above sentence identifies what this list is about and everything else under it. Sometimes you will also find that lists can be found one level lower at the sub-clause level, but not at a higher level than either clause or sub-clause. So how does and come into play? Well, when used in a list in the Ontario Building Code, it will appear here at the end of the second to last item in a list of clauses or subclauses. In this case, I'm showing it at the level of a clause. And what this means is that for this item to be true, each and every one of the listed conditions below it must be true. So in this case, all items from A all the way to D must be true. Does this make sense? Because again, don't forget, and means all. An example of this in the Ontario Building Code is the list of conditions to identify a Part 9 building, which, if you refer to Division A under sentence 1.1.2.4.1, there are three conditions that are required to identify a Part 9 building. First, the building height must be 3 stories or less. Second, the building area must be 600 meters squared or less. And the building itself must be of either C, D, E, F2, or F3 major occupancy. Now, because and means all, every single one of these three conditions must be satisfied so that this item is true. The condition being, this item being, that the building is a Part 9 building. Again, and means all, as in all the items in the list. I hope that makes sense. Next, let's discuss or. Simply put, or means one, like we just saw with and. In a list, or would be found at the end of the second to last item in a list. And what it means is that for this item to be true, any one of the listed conditions must be true. So in this case, only one of the items A or B or C or D must be true in order for the item at the sentence level to be satisfied. If even one of these conditions is true, then this item is also true. Does that make sense? And again, that's because or means one item in the list. So an example of this in the Ontario Building Code is the list of conditions for when handrails are not required in a house or a dwelling unit. This is found under Division B, sentence 9.8.7.1.3. As you can see it here, it states, a handrail is not required for stairs and ramps where, condition number 1, interior stairs have not more than 2 risers. Condition number 2, exterior stairs have not more than 3 risers. Or ramps rise not more than 400 millimeters. Because or means one, then only one of these three conditions needs to be satisfied so that this item is true. The condition being when handrails are not required for specific types of Part 9 buildings. Again, or means one item in the list. Finally, let's discuss except. Simply put, except means check this first. You see, except is a bit more sneaky than and or, because except does not necessarily require a list to function. When except appears in a list, you would find except as the first word at the sentence level, so above all the listed items here. But if there is no list, you can still find the word except. You would find it as the first word in a sentence, or the last word in a sentence, or somewhere within a sentence. I know it's weird, but it always means the same thing. Except means check this first. That is, you have to check what the exception is before you can continue with the rest of those words. I think it's easier if I show you. Okay, let me show you an example from the Ontario Building Code. Let's go to Article 9.8.5.2, ramp width. Under sentence 1, it reads, except as provided in sentence 2, ramps shall not be less than 1,100 millimeters wide. And then in sentence 2, it reads, ramps serving a house or individual dwelling unit shall not be less than 860 millimeters wide. So the way you see it here, you see how the word except is right at the start of the sentence and it identifies sentence 2? Well then, you don't proceed with reading the rest of this sentence, sentence 1. You actually go and check sentence 2 first, right? Check this first. If sentence 2 applies, then you stop and you use sentence 2. You don't even worry anymore about sentence 1. If the exception does not apply, that is, in this case, if sentence 2 does not apply, you go back to the original sentence where the word except appears, and you continue reading after the word except, because after the word except now applies. I hope this makes sense. Again, except means check this first. Check the exception first, because it always wins if it's satisfied. You know what? I think I've taken enough of your time. I hope this video helps maybe a little bit with understanding how the words and, or, except are used in the Ontario Building Code, because it's important, I think. Thank you so much for your time. Take care, stay well, have a lovely day.